So I've done this before where I pick a year and then I talk about two albums from it. So I'm thinking now, today, I'm talking about 1982. Two different artists, two British artists, The Cure and Peter Gabriel. Both were yet to break through really to a mainstream audience in 1982. I think Gabriel probably came a little close with Shock the Monkey off the album, but The Cure, no, I don't think they broke big in America really until probably that Standing on a Beach single and Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me. But yeah, these both of these albums for me, of they're bands that I got really into, but they're both albums that I had a hard time getting into that album. Um, I can start with The Cure. You can start with The Cure. Pornography. I mean, this came out in 1982. I got into The Cure. I knew of them. I heard of them. Standing on Beach, the singles. I remember like picking it up, looking at it, thinking about buying it. Didn't. Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me came out. I bought it right. I bought it as soon as I heard about it and hadn't heard a note. Um, and I loved it. I thought it was a really cool record. It's very diverse. And soon after that, I got Standing on Beach, the singles, and then feeling like I was missing something because people were saying Pornography is their best album. You got to get Pornography. Pornography was so disturbing. Pornography was sold with a hit of acid in the corner. It's all about pornography. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get that. And I bought legal pornography in a record store when I was 14, 15 maybe. But I could not get into this album at all. And maybe part of it was I had switched to cassettes by this point. So I wasn't, I'm sure I still had my stereo. I know I did, but I wasn't probably playing albums as much as I was cassettes. Maybe that's part of it. But I think the biggest part of it was it just was drony music that I just couldn't get into. From the first song, 100 Years, it doesn't matter if we all die. It's like, oh my God. And I'm the one that I don't get bummed out by like so-called depressing music. I tend to love it. I've written songs that people are like, oh, that's so depressing. They don't start with doesn't matter if we all die. And I just feel like of all the songs that were on Standing on Beach, the singles, the one that probably did the least for me was The Hanging Garden. I guess I'm not that into goth. I got into a little bit. I love early Joy Division. I like some Bauhaus, but I like spin-off band Love and Rockets more than I do Bauhaus. I'm not going to put on In the Flat Field or Mask. I might put on Express by Love and Rockets. So yeah, I'm not really into this kind of music anyway, but I just found this like incredibly dark from the get-go. And then when I put it on recently, thinking, okay, maybe I am missing something. Okay, here's all these years later. Let's listen to it again. And I tried over the years, but it'd probably been at least 10 years since I had put this on. But I just, had my kind of thoughts confirmed. I mean, it has a certain sound that I guess they continued later, kind of, like bits and pieces of. But it just is unrelenting and I think kind of uninteresting, and so dark. I mean, the end of it is like, one more day like today and I'll kill you, a desire for flesh and real blood, and I'll watch you drown in the shower, pushing my life through your open eyes. I mean, ugh. It's more like stuff from somebody who's going to shoot up a school or something. Not to be like, I don't believe in censorship at all. Like, people should say whatever they want. I don't think an album like this, probably if The Cure put it out with lyrics like that, who knows? They'd probably have to apologize for it and stop the pressing plants and release something else. But it just doesn't do much for me at all, and it's weird to me that it's still considered like such an important Cure record. I understand though if you're an older fans before those kind of more popular records, which I really like. I like their pop songs. I mean, in the end of it here, it's like, I must break this sickness, find a cure. Those are the last lines that came after that disturbing set that I just read. I think their cure was probably pop songs, writing like Love Cats and Caterpillar and In Between Days and Close to Me, Why Can't I Be You, Just Like Heaven. Like, they knew how to write a really, and then even the Disintegration, which gets lumped in with this as like some trilogy along with Bloodflowers. And again, like if this was raw material and you borrow textures and both of them are kind of depressing, but I feel like this is a trilogy with 17 Seconds and Faith way more than it is an album like Disintegration. And I even like Wallflowers more than I like Pornography. But yeah, so it didn't really do a whole lot for me. I looked at their set list. I mean, they still play songs off of this. I saw them in 2016 and pretty sure they played a couple songs from this. And, a couple songs, sure, but yeah, it's a hard listen on the turntable. Wouldn't recommend it if you're depressed. At least don't read the lyrics too closely. I mean, fortunately for me, they're so small. I have a hard time reading them anyway. The other artist that I have, Peter Gabriel's fourth album, which some people called Security. The record label, I think, made him call him that at some point. Mine doesn't. Mine just says Peter Gabriel. All four of his first several records were the first four records were like this, right? They had the same font, name up in the corner, and an image. Which, this one is probably the least compelling. A couple of them are really disturbing. I think this one is. I think. The back of the car one, the first one is, and the third one is Faces Melting, which is my favorite. I mean, I love that Peter Gabriel. I get into more of his commercial stuff a little bit, like kind of like Springsteen at the time. These artists, when you're like 12, 13, 14 years old and they break with a hit single and they're all over the radio, they seem like new artists, and you don't. I didn't realize, and I think a lot of people don't, for a while, that they have all this history behind them, and certainly didn't know that the same band that did That's All, which is on the radio quite a bit in like 83, 84. The original singer is Peter Gabriel. I found that out later, of course. But yeah, this album, it opened up to me a little bit playing it recently, but it's always felt like a transitional record. It's never been one that I can just play and enjoy. I'm always pulling it out going, am I going to get into this time? I don't know what it is. I think that third album is so good. It's just really hard to top it. But San Jacinto has never really done too much for me. I have the touch I like. Rhythm of the Heat I kind of like. Some of the songs on this new listen, the most recent listen, I listened to a couple times over the last week, like Lay Your Hands on Me, Wallflower, Kiss of Life, kind of came. I figured them out a little bit lyrically. I guess a lot of it is like literally the touch of other people and how powerful that can be on people, especially a song like Lay Your Hands on Me. I guess, back in the day he would crowd surf through the crowd during that song. I remember reading about that. But yeah, it remains a little bit of a mystery for me. I'm still trying to crack the nut on it, but not one of my favorite Peter Gabriel's. Really looking forward to the new record. I think this was probably one of the first records by Gabriel too, where he just took way too much time on it. I mean, he produces great art, and I'm not going to deny that that's great art. But I definitely prefer other Peter Gabriel. I really like what he's doing now. It's kind of interesting. I wish he would just put out the record, but he keeps putting out a new song every time we have a full moon. And the most recent one, Playing for Time, especially, I really liked. Playing for Time, I think it's called. Yeah, I like that one a lot. The other reason that I picked out these two artists, thinking about a year, 1982, two artists in a year, is that they're both on tour. I think Peter Gabriel, to me, is a much bigger deal because he hasn't played. He probably toured around Scratch My Back. I know he's toured once in a while. I've never seen him. So when I found out he's coming, I was like, oh, I should look into that. Well, I quickly lost interest when I found out that tickets, and there are very few available when I checked, were like starting at $300 for pretty bad seats. I mean, not great. And you'd be watching the video screen more than you'd be watching him. I'm not into that. It would be cool to be in the room, and I'm sure I would enjoy it. But I got spoiled. I got spoiled by smaller shows. I'm really fortunate. For the most part, I'm into smaller bands. The artists that are bigger that I've seen, I've usually found my way to get better seats and have them appear. To me, when you're up close, sometimes it does feel like you're in a small place. I mean, that definitely happened when I saw The Cure in 2016. Part of my frustration with The Cure is they're still teasing out this new album. They were doing that in 2016 when I saw them. They played a couple new songs. Now they're playing a lot more. And I do give them credit. They're trying to fight this whole like insane ticket fee thing that's going on and ticket prices by having their prices set pretty normally. pretty modestly. But they can't fight the fees that they slap on top of them. And Robert Smith has been very vocal in the last few days about that, about what a nightmare the system that we're all in is. And I don't know what's up with the insane ticket prices either. They kept them pretty normal. The verified ticket thing really just seemed like a disaster. I got the email later, like when I checked no tickets were available. My girlfriend got the email that she was on the actual list. I got on the wait list earlier in the day, but we both just decided that we'd wait it out. If we really want to go, we'd try to go the day of the show. But yeah, I don't know how this industry can sustain such incredibly high prices and not just have everybody kind of turn on it. It just seems insane to me for tickets. I mean, tickets. I saw tickets for Gabriel that were $1,000 on, and this wasn't even the resale thing, which also is crazy. That you can gobble up by tech a bunch of tickets and then resell them even before they go on sale for insane prices. I remember when I got into music and moved to Minneapolis and seeing a lot of club shows, scalping was illegal. And then they changed the law, and I don't know the state I live in, Washington, if it's legal or not. I assume it is. I mean, it happens all the time. But this secondary market thing is just getting crazy, and even the original ticket prices are nuts. But yeah, no thanks. Everything seems to be going on sale at the same time too. I understand, the industry has been decimated by music for free. I mean, there's us, the people that buy vinyl and buy physical product, but we're the exception. Most people are listening, streaming, and yeah, so you have to make that up somehow, I guess. But I just feel like it's really getting out of control. And for me, I'm just like, peace out. Like, I don't get much out of those big shows anyway. So, I spent $350 to see Springsteen, the most I've ever paid to see a band, an artist. But I paid to see that for Springsteen on Broadway. And I was in the box seating where I could look right down at him. The stage was right below my feet, essentially. Incredible. I wouldn't change that. That was amazing. Worth every penny. And those tickets, of course, were going way higher than that. I have a good story around that. Sometime I'll share. But I'm not going to pay $350 to see Springsteen in a huge arena and sit in the back. Like, no way. I'm not interested in that. Like I said, really glad I got into music at a much smaller scale. And my favorite bands never got that huge. And if they did, some of them, got a little bit bigger. I usually lucked out and either being a member of the fan club or getting tickets that were really, really close. But yeah, I feel like it's a serious problem, and I don't know how people are doing it when everything's going on sale at the same time. A lot of these bands, of course, it's post-COVID, or, well, it is and it isn't, but there's pent-up demand. These artists have to make a living, but they're all going on tour at the same time. I mean, again, I'm kind of viewing a day of show for some things I'm really interested in. Find a ticket, to kind of take it or leave it. Like, whenever I wanted to see a band, like really wanted to see a band, I've always gotten in. The only exception I can think of is Paul Westerberg in Minneapolis when I was visiting and had no idea he was playing, and I literally camped outside of First Avenue and couldn't get in. And I tried to listen through the concrete. That was probably the exception. If you really want to get in, you can get in, and sometimes day of show you can get in a lot cheaper than these insane prices. But anyway, that's my rant video. Wasn't necessarily supposed to be that, but yeah, two albums a year, 1982, Peter Gabriel and The Cure. I'd be curious anybody's thoughts on these albums. Are one of these your favorite? I think so often our favorites are what got us into a band, the album that turned us on and made us obsessive and made us want to go out and buy other albums is usually more often than not, our favorite or one of our favorites. So that might have something to do with it. I know a lot of people love Pornography, the album, and I know a lot of people love Peter Gabriel's fourth album, which I definitely like more than The Cure's third album. Please subscribe if you can. I'm trying to grow an audience. It helps me out a lot, and appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Till next time.